Coast to coast, Wreaths Across America Radio connects millions of volunteers as America's radio station and a voice for America's veterans as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. Michael W. Hale with you, and we always look forward to sharing conversations with different members of our Wreaths Across America family who help support the mission, but also they do other things to support veterans and others as well, and charities too. And that brings us to our conversation today with Jon Bergdoll, Interim Director of Data and Research Partnerships at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy at Indiana University. So it's an honor to have Jon in to share with us. Jon, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
We'd like to learn a bit about your background first, if you would, Jon. Tell us some about your career and also what led you to what you're doing now.
Well, sure. So I serve as the interim director of research here at the Lilly Family School, and I kind of have held a similar sort of role of responsibilities for a few years here of really working at data and statistics and all that fun number stuff for studying giving and volunteering at a large scale level here, and for mostly American data, though we do also do international work. Truth be told, I just kind of washed around, floated from here to there a little bit after college, and eventually found myself working at this department, and it just kind of stuck.
Well, yeah. Well, that's good. It sounds like it's a nice fit for you, Jon. So it's a nice place to be stuck, making a difference and helping people as you are.
Exactly.
So for people who may not, as we give the name of the location, the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, as you said, located at Indiana University. So we want to educate people while we have you here, Jon, what you do and also how this benefits members of the military.
Sure. So I would say, probably the largest report I work on is Giving USA, which reports every year the total amount of dollars given in the United States for charitable purposes. And the project I'm here to talk about today kind of is tangentially related to that, in that we are looking at those organizations that specifically are dedicated to serving the military and veteran community, and sort of putting that in that context of overall philanthropy and how much of a share goes there and what that sort of giving looks like.
And speaking of the military, there's probably some interesting stats about organizations like the military, and less than 1% of all U.S. charitable giving, I understand, is one of those numbers I've seen tossed around.
Yes, that's what we found was that, if you want to be real precise, somewhere around 0.6% or 0.7% of giving over the last decade has pretty consistently gone to these sorts of organizations. And that's been fairly consistent, grown along with overall giving, but it hasn't really, grown as a share of giving over that time frame.
Well, there are so many charitable organizations out there. As a matter of fact, Wreaths Across America is one of those that helps to honor veterans on National Wreaths Day, but all year round trying to make differences in other areas. So, Jon, when did you first hear about Wreaths Across America and learn about us?
To be really honest, while doing this project, one of the things I really like about this line of work in specific, where we're looking at these sort of organizations that serve specific populations, is that a lot of times I am fairly ignorant coming into it of what exactly that landscape looks like. And, we bring in a bunch of experts and a bunch of practitioners and other members of the community to help inform and guide the process. And while doing that and doing the rest of the research, I get to benefit from all of that knowledge and get to soak a lot of it in. And so, there were... My knowledge coming in was relatively low on the veteran serving organization world. Thankfully, I know a little bit more now, but still far less than those who have been in mesh for a while. But I hope I can have some things to help guide or help inform now.
Well, I'm sure you will, Jon, as you continue to grow with knowledge of what we do and other charitable organizations. And I was reading a note here that I was given that said veterans experience disproportionately high rates of mental health issues, homelessness, difficulty getting adequate health care, and challenges finding post-service employment. So there are a lot of charities out there who are trying to help these veterans face some of these health challenges and other challenges. And so you had a chance to break some of that down?
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to first sort of identify some of those sort of disproportionate needs faced by the veteran and military community, and then look into those organizations that seem to be specifically trying to serve those needs, sometimes among a lot of other needs, but, serve those as well. And, what we found was that, generally speaking, organizations kind of serving the most baseline of things, so things like providing food or financial assistance was a very large one. Those tended to be sort of the largest share of what we're seeing as far as giving goes, though mental health and survivor care and memorializing were right there with it. All of them were around $400 million of donations a year.
And being a numbers guy and doing what you do, educate us a little more, John, about perhaps the Military and Veterans Community Index. So give us a little class and lesson on that, John.
So this is sort of what we call the report and the main focus of the report. We call it an index because at the heart of it, we look through all about 1.5 million registered, public charities in the U.S. And using what information is available on them, we try to identify virtually all of them that are serving a specific community. In this case, we're looking at the military and veterans community. And we actually provide that index in the form of, if you're like a researcher or something, we have a downloadable list of, big gory Excel page. But we also have a fairly user-friendly website that allows, folks to sort of browse around, look at things by geography or the focus of the organization. And, we feel like that's a fairly, clean way of looking at that data. And that sort of serves as that index. And then the report itself, allows us to sort of dig into what that data says, especially over the last 10 years or so, is what we focus on here. And what giving looks like, how much it is, how it has changed, and where that money's going within the sector are all sort of things that we looked at, as well as just contextualizing what these organizations sort of look like compared to their other peers that aren't serving this specific population.
Again, I am talking with Jon Bergdoll, Interim Director of Data and Research Partnerships at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy at Indiana University. And as you break down numbers and logistics, and sometimes, John, that can be overwhelming for people. But thankfully, we have people like you and your team who are into it, and you're good at it, and you help break these numbers down and make it something we can understand. So we appreciate that. And also, we want to make sure while we have time with you, John, that we specifically focus a bit here on the Indiana University Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. If there's anything you want us to take away from our conversation about that and a few other things we're chatting, what would you want to make sure we take away?
I think there is a lot of vibrancy within that, within the military and veteran serving organization that we've looked at. And mental health in specific is something where that is not just one of the larger sectors as far as where that support is going, but it's also one of the fastest growing ones. It's really clear that conversation has been growing and evolving over the past 10 years, and organizations are reacting to better fulfill those needs. And I think that's probably what I would say as far as the big one. And of course, the total amount, it feels like a large amount of money, $3.4 billion. That is a large amount of money, but on the scale of overall giving, as we said, a little under 1% of all. So still a very small slice from what is out there, and an even smaller slice of what could be out there when you start looking at, how much is out there could be given.
Well, we've tossed around a lot of information and numbers, and maybe piqued the curiosity of a few folks. So where can they go, John, to learn more information about your location and what you do, but maybe some other things we talked about?
Sure. I always say just a quick Google away for the Lilly School or for the Military and Veterans Index. We also, you can find that webpage I mentioned that has links both to the report and to sort of the more user-friendly, as well as MVCI.org. That's MVCI.org. So Military Veteran Community.
Seems like a good place to start. And as John says, of course, in this world of search engines, of course, Google is the one we use probably more. But if someone has a different favorite search engine, they can still go and search for you folks and the wonderful work you do. And also, I know in your background, John, that in your family, going back to World War II, you had some military service there, right?
Yes, both of my grandfathers served. One in the Pacific, and then one did air missions between Europe and Asia.
Wow, that sounds like two of my uncles, as a matter of fact, that exactly served in those locations. But of course, we appreciate that generation, definitely, John, what they did in a very challenging time in our history. Well, John, it's been such a pleasure and honor to talk to you, and I picked up some nuggets of information along the way that we can share with our listeners. So, any final thoughts before we go?
Thanks for having me on. This was a real pleasure.
Well, keep up the good work on making a difference in these charitable organizations, including those involved with the military. So it's very important to them for sure. Well, John, thank you kindly. You enjoy the rest of your day and weekend, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again and get an update sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks very much.
All right.